What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video, and this is the full review of the Honor Magic 8 Pro Air. No, not a first impressions. I have been very busy recently talking about batteries, so we've skipped straight to the review. I've been using this phone for around a week to 10 days, and I have to be honest, Apple and Samsung almost killed what an Air phone to me should be. Then Honor came out with this. Showed me the light. Let's go. Now I know before I lose the holy trinity of Apple, Samsung and Google fans, please listen carefully. Apple and Google release 4 phones per year. Honor have released 4 phones in January. Honor give us every form factor, every size, every price point, because as consumers, we need that choice. So if you're part of that holy trinity and you want to poo-poo Chinese brands, just know that at least we have choice. And also, Pixel fans, you talk about being part of the big 3, you're not even in the top 20 in terms of sales. Pixels don't sell well. You're not the big 3, you're not the big 20. So calm down, let's get on to the Honor Magic 8 Pro Air review. Now of course the unique selling point of this device is the size and weight. Folks, this is the lightest phone I have ever used. I'll put a little caveat with a triple camera setup because there's definitely been lighter phones when I was younger, like Nokia's, but it's the lightest flagship phone I've ever used. And at the start of the video I mentioned that Apple and Samsung kind of killed what a light, thin phone could do for me because they have no battery life and they have a single, or in Samsung's case, a dual camera setup. So for me, being an avid photographer, a zoom fiend, a flagship fiend, I can't rock an iPhone Air or a Samsung S25 Edge. So when I got this, I wasn't too thrilled, to be honest. But as time has gone on, as I've used it more, this is what an Air phone should be. A 6.3 inch display, a 6mm thick device, but with a 5500 mAh cell and a triple camera setup that we'll obviously talk about later in the video. And in terms of performance, this is using the latest MediaTek 9500 chip based on a 3nm architecture, as if I know what that means. But it means this thing is utter flagship. I made a video a week ago, I think, when I got this device, talking about how this crushes the iPhone Air. Folks, let me tell you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, this phone could be compared to the iPhone 17 Pro Max, I mean, Honor have copied the colour after all, and probably come out on top. Certainly a bigger battery, certainly a better processor in my opinion, and more features because it's on Android. Now in camera department, we can go back and forth. But this, wow. Now it would also be remiss of me not to talk about that display. It is 6.3 inches, which in 2026 is considered small, which is kind of hilarious because 6.3 inches just 2 years ago was pretty massive. But it's a 120Hz panel, it's a billion colours, AMOLED, it's LTPO technology to help conserve battery. Here you can see, because it only has a single hole punch, which I'll talk about later in the video, it's almost an uninterrupted display. And unlike a lot of Chinese manufacturers, the resolution is Full HD Plus, not Quad HD. But that's because it gives you a 6000 nits of peak brightness, which is, I'll be honest, it's too much. I'm happy with 3000 nits in a Quad HD display at this point. But yeah, there's no scenario on this earth or on the sun where you will not be able to read that display. 6,000 nits peak is, yeah, silly.
This could either be hell or a paradise. Talking to your friends, baby, so do I. About you, we both know it's too late. I forgot I lied to you. We both know it's too late. I forgot I lied to you.
So, to bring it back to a more concise review. The MediaTek 9500 chip with a 5500 mAh cell means you're good for 1.5 to 2 days battery life, almost no matter what your usage. And if you are a gamer, which absolutely none of the other Airs will allow you to do, then this phone can let you. Because of that chipset, you can game away to your heart's content. Now, granted, I'm not a gamer. All I do is use this for photos and surfing the web and watching YouTube videos. For my experience, I've not had any overheating. I know that MediaTek chips tend to be better in terms of cooling than Snapdragons. So if you're going for a hardcore 4-hour gaming session, maybe it would get hot to touch. I can't be the judge, jury and executioner of that because I just haven't tested it. I just know it's got the power and battery and capabilities to game hardcore if you want to. And I just want to bring it back to the design because it can't be overlooked. The Honor Magic V5 is my daily foldable phone. One of the world's thinnest, in fact it probably is still the thinnest and lightest foldable phone on the planet. It feels heavy compared to this. This thing at 156 grams it's almost like it's not in your pocket. And that is so refreshing when I've been carrying around the Magic 8 RSR or the Xiaomi 17 Ultra Leica Edition. And you know I carry those around because I love cameras. But the fact that I can carry this around with very good cameras and not feel weighed down and use it in one hand without any issues. I mean, to be honest, folks, I hear that so many times from other YouTube reviewers. Yeah, holding the phone in your hand for long doesn't get too strenuous. Bro, if you can't hold a phone for an hour in your hand, get to the fucking gym. Excuse my French. But the point remains, the fact that we can get the lightest flagship phone is fantastic when you're not sacrificing any specs. Now, I should also say the battery capacity is fantastic, but the 80 watt wire charging with the charger included in the box is fantastic. The 50 watts wireless charging, because yes, this Air device has wireless charging. So as far as peace of mind goes, when your phone eventually does die, you know that you're going to get super fast, really super fast wired or wireless charging. I don't want to get into the other manufacturers, the big threes charging speed, because we've been over that. I also don't want to make it seem like I'm only for Chinese manufacturers. I record this on an iPhone 17 Pro Max. I use Samsung devices. I love the Samsung Z Fold 7, even with its poor battery and cameras. So there's no agenda here. I just want the best specs for the cheapest price. And that brings us to price. The fact that you can get a flagship Air phone for £700 less depending on storage. Folks, this is £300 to £400 cheaper than the iPhone. And if we're not comparing it to an iPhone, folks, this is £200 to £300 cheaper than the Honor Magic 8 Pro. And if I had to choose, and I mean this truly and sincerely, if I had to choose between the Air or the Pro, I'd probably take the Air because of its weight, size, dimensions. Now, I've mentioned them a few times, so I think it's time we actually talk about the cameras. On the rear, you've got a 50 megapixel wide angle lens with a 1/1.13 inch sensor. That is a ball tickle hair away from being a 1 inch type sensor. The zoom lens is 64 megapixels. So this is where the Pro and the Pro Air differ. Purely because of the thickness of the phone, simple physics dictates you cannot have the 200 megapixel zoom lens on this device. So the Air has the older 64 megapixel sensor found in the Honor Magic V5, funnily enough, and it comes in at 3.2 times optical. As you can see from the photos I'm flashing up here, absolutely no issues in my mind with the quality and capabilities of this zoom lens. You've then got the third camera, which is the 50 megapixel ultra wide. Again, a very good lens inside. All three lenses produce accurate colours, which is important because there's some camera systems out there that between the ultra wide and zoom lens, it's like 3 different phones you're using because the colours are way off. One could be more saturated, one is like more natural. So I think the Honor, all 3 lenses are reflective of what you actually see with your eyes. And as always, it's raining, cold, miserable, grey here in Scotland. But how are the built-in microphones on the Honor Magic 8 Pro Air? But they're pretty good, because everything else about this phone is pretty goddamn good. While I'm on that selfie camera though, it's important to note that because it's the Honor Air, I guess, which is new for Honor, they're not going with the pill shape cutout where you get the 3D face scanning. On this device, biometrics wise, it's fingerprint, which is it's optical fingerprint or Face ID, but the Face ID is not 3D secure, so you can't open your banking app with that. You have to do it with your fingerprint. A small thing, but definitely a point to note that for security, your Honor Magic 8 Pros of the world are better than the Air version. So, that's the Honor Magic 8 Pro Air. All the specifications, how I've enjoyed using it, which I have, and I wasn't clickbaiting, I wasn't leading you on. I truly think if I could pick only one, remember I don't have to pick only one, but if I had to pick one between the Air and the Pro, I'd pick the Honor Air. I think the cost saving, the weight saving, and the design outweighs the fact you get a slightly better zoom lens and a bigger screen, in my opinion. But that's all subjective. That's entirely up to you. Luckily, I don't make that choice. You do. I just give you my advice, my opinions, and you do with that what you will. Now, it goes without saying, I'm leaving it to the end of the video to mention, I've got the Average Dad Tech Store. I own, proudly, the largest import store for Chinese phones in the world. If you're looking for a new Honor, a new Oppo, a new Xiaomi, check out the Average Dad Tech Store. We will not be beaten on price by companies you know, probably because of me, like Wanda Mobile. We will not be beaten on price. And if they do happen to have a cheaper price, it's just because there's only a team of 3 of us. We've not got round to checking the prices that day, probably. So let us know and we'll price match for you. If you've enjoyed this, you know what to do. If you want to see more, you know what to do. Until next time.